Hello all, welcome to our channel Polyhipster. This is a very short video to introduce various membrane receptor families and signaling pathways of our endocrine system. These are the main systems or pathways that regulate and control hormone secretion and their actions in our body. So, what is a receptor? A hormone receptor is a protein or glycoprotein that is able to distinguish their hormone from other molecules, and they bind to this hormone to generate a specific action. So, as shown here, the main action is pretty simple. First, the hormone acts as a first messenger or a ligand which is recognized by the receptor. It binds to the receptor to activate various intracellular enzymes, which in turn cause the required reactions. Now, as far as receptors are concerned, it can be divided into two major categories: extracellular or cell surface receptors and intracellular receptors. Intracellular receptors can be further classified into cytoplasmic and nuclear receptors. Now, let's talk about the cell surface receptors. How can they be classified? So, cell surface receptor mainly binds with the hydrophilic ligands. As we discussed in our previous lecture, few hormones are protein hormones. They are water soluble. They are hydrophilic. So, for such hormones, the receptors are mainly present on the cell surface. These include the G protein coupled receptor, ligand gated ion channels, and the enzyme linked receptors. Now, next, we will talk about various membrane receptor families. First, as discussed before, is the GPCR, that is G protein coupled receptor. It is a 7 trans membrane receptor which will be discussed in detail further. Next is the receptor tyrosine kinase, where tyrosine kinase is the enzyme activated. Next is cytokine receptor linked kinase. And the fourth category is serine kinase. All these receptors will be discussed in detail in our further lectures. Now let's come to the nuclear receptor, which is an intracellular receptor. Nuclear receptor can be further classified into type 1 and type 2 nuclear receptor. So the type 1 nuclear receptor, they bind to the steroid hormones, whereas type 2, they bind to thyroid, vitamin D, retinoic acid, and lipid derivatives. Now, the steroid hormone receptors include the glucocorticoid receptor, mineralocorticoid receptor, adrenaline receptor, estrogen receptor, and the progesterone receptor. Whereas the type 2 receptors include the thyroid receptor, vitamin D receptor, retinoic acid receptor, and the peroxisome proliferator activated receptor. That's all for now. See you soon with further details about these receptors and how they regulate various hormonal actions in our body.